We are in session 8, and today we are upping our game with what it means to build trust. So, recap last time we spoke about being inconvenient and to tell the hard truth. Did you have a chance to experience it this week?
Yes, twice.
Do tell.
Um, I have a podcast that I do with a friend for patients with endometriosis just to help as tips and tricks for day-to-day life and just what's on the horizon to improve our lives. And I do have a lot of personal commitments that are coming up in the next 3 weeks. So despite having a whole lot of exciting stuff and series that we're in the middle, I had to say, hey, I'm so sorry. We do have that one thing scheduled. We're going to do that, but let's postpone everything else for like a month because I really need that time. I can't be as invested as I want to be at this time. And it went well. I'm usually, well, two things. First of all, I usually over explain. I think we talked about this last time. So this time I did not do it. I just said, hey, personal thing, can't do it, which was good because I felt like also the conversation was very focused and they were like, okay, so what are we going to do about this and this and this? And we just talked about the how and not about the why and just shifted the entire conversation to just be very adult like, it's just like we're talking about schedules and that's okay. And
Yep.
it was awesome.
I'm really happy to hear this because what you're describing is that your conversation from being awkward to explanatory and excuses to, okay, something happened. Here's the productive way of going about it. And what are we going to do next? Right. And you also say that it helps you feel much better, right? Because you said things as they are. So my question is, what did you experience before you had to say it? And after, what happened after?
I was really nervous before because I felt like I'm letting people down. And afterwards, I actually felt, first of all, relief because it was behind me and it went well, and kind of even empowered. Like I did it. I can do it. If I need to push something a month, it could happen, and the world is not going to end because we can just talk about it in the right way. And that was awesome.
Good. I'm really happy to hear this story and your candid way of describing it because here is the thing. Most people avoid inconvenience, especially when it comes to hard talks, especially when when we're talking about saying, I can't do it or I can't deliver things on time. And what happens when you avoid the conversation, the situation is not going to fold itself and it's not going to disappear. Rather, it's going to turn out to be something worse. So let's imagine a situation, for example, that a service provider, let's say I'm a service provider and you just commissioned a video clip, a commercial that I have to deliver to you. And we know by now that every time that I have to deliver something to you or help you with something, there are other things at stake. So maybe you're launching a product and you get your marketing ready. And let's say I start working on this video clip, and 2 days before, you're calling me and I do not answer. And I do not answer because maybe I didn't get to the last editing parts. And maybe just like 99% of businesses, I do things at the last minute and I promise to deliver it on time to you, which I will, but you are not getting an answer from me because I don't want to deal with telling you right now, I didn't get to it. I will get to it. It's fine. Now, the reason you're calling is because you're nervous. Your launch is coming up, everything, all ducks in a row in other places. You want to know what's going on with me. How would you feel if I didn't answer your calls? If I would just avoid telling you that I'm not getting to it yet or whatever it is? How are you feeling when somebody's not answering your calls?
Probably a lot more anxious and imagining the worst. Like
Good.
it's not going to be ready and they're ghosting me now.
Good. So, and I'm not answering your calls and I'm not answering your calls and you're anxious because everything is going. What is the next step that you would do?
I would probably either text or email whatever communication I've tried before to say something like, "Hey, I don't wanna stress you out. I'm sure you're, like, super, like, in the middle of working on it. Just wanna make sure that we're still on for the ETA X. I would love to see it by."
Because people, whether they don't deliver or they don't get to it, and because they feel uncomfortable with facing the situation, they just simply say, okay, I'm not going to answer. I'm going to stall for 2 more days, 3 more days, whatever the time frame is, just to tell the client, here, I'm getting it delivered. But it creates anxiety for you. And probably the next time you're not going to work with me because you don't want to be anxious. And
Yep.
this is precisely the situation that I have to tell you about. This is a true story that I encountered with a few businesses in the past. There were two brilliant guys that could deliver in a pitch, in a beautiful presentation, the most compelling story of really ever. They got together and they put up an agency and they were putting their product, and the product was to have a storyline in a PPT that kind of accompanies the speaker. Reputation grew very fast, and on one day, this C-level corporate guy commissioned a presentation, a pitch, a storyline, and everything that he had to deliver in Washington in front of 3,000 people live. The guy started working on that, and it'd been 2 months, and he finally gets on the plane, and he gets to Washington a few days before because he wants to practice it. 4 or 5 days before the final editing and revisions, last minute work, he calls them up. And guess what? They do not answer. And why don't they answer? Because they have other things. They're trying to make everything work. And they didn't want to tell the client, yes, we're getting to it. They were doing these things and they knew they would deliver it at the last minute when they promised. The thing was, the one thing the guy didn't tell them was that he stutters. And his stuttering worsens when he is anxious. So he was calling them. They didn't pick up. They were buying time, they thought. Meanwhile, he's in Washington. His anxiety is rising and he cannot practice the presentation.
Oh,
And they don't answer and they don't answer. And he started stuttering and it got worse and worse. So what happened was that they delivered it on time. They sent it on time, but he needed the time to relax and practice because they didn't answer. So he threw away all the presentation that they did for 2 months. And it was a high ticket presentation. I mean, really seriously.
wow.
And being the C-level that he just he just conducted something else that he built. This is where it gets worse. After the presentation, he didn't pay them the second half that he had to because he said, hey guys, you didn't answer my calls. Aside from the legal battle that followed, right? Because they delivered on time, he didn't use the presentation, whatever it is, it
Right.
caused an entire scene. And he just gave them such a bad review. And amongst small group of businesses that did business with him, they stopped getting jobs. Their business went south. They shut it down. They were in debt. The butterfly effect continued. All of
Wow.
this could have just resolved in, hi, Mr. Such and such. We're working on your presentation. We're getting to it. Is there anything that we can help you with right now?
Yes,
All
exactly.
it took. That's all it took. The avoidance, though, because people don't want to face the music and just say things as they are, what they're dealing with, has such a powerful negative effect on the entire situation that it causes businesses to shut down.
Yes. And I'm going to say something that is scary, but true from my personal experience. Nowadays, AI agents give you the exact same result. My personal experience with 4 different brands was so terrible because of all those AI agent fillers. Like they have new, it's like, okay, if you see the word refund or exchange in the email, like here's what you're going to spit out, which is just like, don't answer me. Or even worse, just because there was no one there to do the human thing and say, hey, here's 1, 2, 3 that you asked about. Hey, here's how we can help de escalate what's going on right now. And I know it's a little bit not what we're talking about, but I feel like it relates so much.
Actually, it is exactly what we're talking about because we're talking about communication. So the communication part is what makes the company a successful company. This is
Yeah.
why great companies have human connection or any type of help very, very quickly. Because if you don't get an answer, obviously things can escalate very quickly. And why are we talking about this? I mean, why are we talking about customer support? Why are we talking about answering an inconvenient situation when this course is about small talk? Well, the reason is, and if we revert back to the entire course and to what we spoke at last session, we are doing this small talk because we want to bond, because we want to create business, and we want to know very quickly who are we going to deal with? We don't want to find a person we often find. How about this? Many individuals that they are amazing with their words and they're very nice and they're very appeasing and they're very pleasing and everything. And then we get into business with them and they don't answer the phone when we need them. So we don't want to find this out when we commissioned work from them, especially high ticket work from them. We want to know this at the beginning. And at the beginning, this all comes into small talk. And we can actually do this in small talk. So we want to learn how to deal with these situations now. So when it comes to small talk, we would know how to incorporate it there. Because the worst thing we want to find ourselves in is an overpromising or with a person that knows their way around with small talk. But then we're stuck with a situation that escalates to something that is not so great. This also teaches us to know what people we don't want to deal with. So if we have a person that does not answer the phone because it's inconvenient for them to tell us what is going on, we know that we don't want to have business with these people because it's not going to go anywhere. But everything we have to apply for ourselves. So, what do we do? Here is the second rule of building trust. You say the hard truth when it is most inconvenient first. And this is the second part what it is that you're doing about it. Let's say that we get this inconvenient situation like you had with your friends. It is very difficult to pick up the phone and say, hey, I promised I can't do it. So, what we do is the following we take a deep breath and we say, okay, I have to say that I didn't get to it. I'm not getting to it, but I know, and this is what I'm saying to myself, what am I going to do about this? Maybe I can ask a friend to help instead of me. Maybe I can do this and that. We take a deep breath and we make the phone call and we say what it is. And yes, it may ignite a few fears, but at this point, it doesn't matter because your business is going to go up or is going to go south based on this one phone call. So, the second rule this is the second part out of three. Here is an example, and I'm going to pick a really hard one. Let's say your accountant didn't file your taxes on time.
Okay.
Bad, right? And your accountant now has to tell you that they didn't do it for whatever reason. The accountant can avoid the situation. Not good for them, not good for you, not good for anybody. The accountant can just say, sorry, Ruthie, I made a mistake. I didn't file the taxes. Now you're upset, but the damage is not as bad as if he didn't tell you about this.
Oh, of course.
The second part that we can add is, hi, Ruthie, I didn't file your taxes. I had a life thing, but today I filed for extension. And if there is a fee to pay, I will pay the fee and we will fix it.
Got it.
How would you feel if somebody would tell you this?
Much more relaxed. Like he's got it. He messed up, but he knows how to fix it.
So the business, he probably wouldn't cost him his business.
Correct.
The second thing is, whatever is a big deal in your mind to face the music is probably not such a big deal if you're just going to say what it is that you're going to do about it.
Right. Right.
What you want to practice is knowing how to say it in a pleasant way and immediately provide an action that we're
Right.
taking, right? So this is what we really want to achieve at building trust. We want to put the first part, which is the most difficult for most people to do, but practice makes our muscle of communication and inconvenience come together and we get better at communicating. So the third part of building trust is the first part of the rule, say the hard truth when it's most inconvenient directly. Say what you're going to do about it and put the interest of the other person first or show care. Okay.
Exactly.
When we have these three parts together, we know that even though life happens, we still care about your situation. Here is an example. We see it sometimes with amazing companies. They say, we promised you a delivery on such and such a date, not FedEx, the other company. We promised you a delivery by, let's say, Monday. And let's say you didn't get it by Monday. So we see companies say, we apologize, the delivery is
Right.
us.
We're sorry for the inconvenience
And
and such. Yeah. Right.
we see that. Let's go back to the two brilliant guys with the presentation. All it took actually to save their business or that particular specific incident that caused a downfall was to pick up the phone and speak to the guy and let's apply the three rules. We're not getting there yet. You will have it on time. Is there anything that we can do for you right now to help you with this process? Do you want the first slide? Do you want me to talk to you? Do you want me to walk you through it? Right. The other guy, the C-level guy, would just relax. His
Right.
anxiety get over the roof. His stuttering may be a bit more relaxed. He would know that everything is taking place and he would not be in limbo because this is the worst situation that companies can put people in, right? Or service providers. So applying these three rules, let's take your situation now with a podcast. How would you phrase it in 2, 3 sentences applying the rules? Starting with, you show care and walking your way backwards.
I would probably say something like, I know we're so excited about interviewing so and so, and we already started making those questions and we're on the roll, but I'm so sorry, some personal stuff came up and I won't be able to do it in the next month. Here's how we can start preparing and containing this excitement so we're not losing it. I started a doc. Let's do this. Let's just chat ourselves like for 30 minutes and get this going and then kind of container it until we can get back to it.
First of all, we want to communicate that we understand that the
The
other
stake.
side
Yeah.
is dependent on us to deliver something on time because we're a means to an end, right? It's always part of something. So we want to understand what's the end game. So the end game doesn't suffer. We also want to communicate that we're not abandoning, we are always there. And this what makes a business successful. Your challenge for the upcoming week, should you choose to accept it, is to see if you encounter additional, even minor inconvenient situations. We want to apply the full 3-part rule. We want to practice the mindset that we started this course with, giving mindset. And this is applied here. And then once we practice it and we know how to deal with these situations, we can then learn how to apply it to small talk. How does that sound?
Sounds promising.
Good. Good. So until next week,
Yeah.
enjoy and be inconvenient.